Hello, my name is Bridget and I have a problem. My problem is that I love languages. I adore languages. I find them so fascinating and I have studied so many languages, but I do not speak a single language fluently other than my native tongue of English. And this has been the story of my life for years and years and years, and I absolutely hate it. For someone who feels this way about languages, I should have advanced, not necessarily fluent, but advanced comprehension of at least one language aside from my own. And yet, I don't. Because what I lack is focus. That is my problem. My problem is that I dabble. I will become interested in a language and I will study it and learn some vocabulary and the grammar, and I'll start understanding things and get really excited about it. And I learn until around A2, B1 level. I'll hover around there, and then inevitably I will become tempted by a different language because I'm interested in all languages. And it seems like such a waste of time on earth to only focus on one when I could be focusing on all these other ones. And so I never actually select something and carry it through to the point of the level that I want for myself. This is a really long introduction to me explaining why I've created this new YouTube channel. I have created this new YouTube channel where I want to focus on a particular language for a set amount of time. So I'm effectively going to put blinders on myself and only allow myself to indulge in that one language until I take it all the way to the level that I want for myself. This may seem like a no-brainer, but it is actually physically, mentally difficult for me. That even focusing on just one seems like a sacrifice. But the lesson that I've learned, and that I'm sure people in a similar boat to me have learned, is that when you stretch yourself thin and you learn every language, you're really not learning any language. So while I feel like it's a sacrifice to focus only on one, it's what it takes to be able to achieve my personal goals for myself. Not every language learner will agree, So my plans for this channel are that it's going to be a language learning channel. It's not just going to be one language that I'm going to always make videos in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a language, make content in that language, but also make content in English where I share how I'm learning that language. And what I would love is for anyone out there who's in the same boat, learning the same language or just learning a language, to follow along, to share their tips, any advice that you can give. But I'm going to be sharing my process, basically. My hope is that A, I'll become much more advanced and or fluent in the languages that I'm finally focusing on, and B, that with each language, I will be compounding my experience in language learning, and by the time I get to the second one, I'll be able to say what works, what doesn't, and hopefully it'll become a much more easy process. It'll be more streamlined and I will know what works personally for me. So that is my whole introduction to the channel. So now let's reveal the language that I'm going to start with. The language that I'm going to start with is Spanish. The reason that I'm starting with Spanish is threefold. One, it is a heritage language for me because my mother and my mother's side of the family is from Cuba. Spanish was her first language. So you may be thinking that I should know Spanish already. Well, I'm right there with you. I should know Spanish already. And yet, I'm at the intermediate level. I was spoken to in Spanish when I was younger, and still my grandmother talks to me primarily in Spanish, I'd say, and I understand a lot. But my ability to actually communicate myself, not just understand, but also speak, is limited. So reason number one, it's a heritage language, it's part of our culture, and yet I stumble so much with the language. That sort of leads into reason number two for me, which is that it is the language that I am the closest to being fluent in. I studied it a little bit in junior high and high school, and I've heard it my whole life. It'll require the least amount of work. Not that it won't require work, because trust me, it'll require work, but it's the language I'm closest to fluency in. The third reason that I'm choosing Spanish is because I'm about to spend an entire month in Spain. So it seems like a great place to practice my Spanish, and I think that's a really important aspect of language learning, is actually being surrounded by the language. How lucky am I that I'm going to be in a place where they speak this language? Let me tell you that Spain Spanish is a lot different than Cuban Spanish. It is the fastest language I've ever heard in my life. Throughout my Spanish videos, I'll talk more about my experience with the language, what I've tried so far. I'll dig into the grammar that I'm learning. Hopefully I'll learn new things, maybe teach you some new things if you're learning Spanish, or maybe learn some new things from you if you speak Spanish and can help with some things that I struggle with, because I struggle with a lot. The subjunctive, like everyone struggles with, I I struggle with when to use reflexive, indirect object pronouns, and yo se lo dije a ella. A lot of people have the idea that Spanish is easy because the majority of people in the US studied some Spanish in school and so can say things like, ¿Dónde está la biblioteca? But once you dig a little bit deeper, you will realize that there are so many beautiful intricacies and idiosyncrasies in the Spanish language that are not intuitive to a native English speaker, and it's those intricacies that make languages what they are, that make them so beautiful and unique. Each one is like a snowflake, and you're like, I want to dig in and like learn all about this. Like, why do you use the reflexive for that? The personal the accidental se, all of these things. All of that is for a future video. But I struggle with a lot, and I'm going to be digging into these things because I need to confront them in order to be fluent in this language. So that's all for the future. I hope you'll stick around because after, let's say, 3 months, 3 to 5 maybe with Spanish. After 3 to 5 months, I'm going to reveal the next language that I will be switching to, and it'll be fun. We'll have like a language reveal party. Not anything with pyrotechnics, but maybe a colored cake where I could like do the flag in the cake. I'm ahead of myself. Right now, to end the video, I thought I could switch to Spanish just to show you my basic level, and then you'll see what we're working with here. Let's see. I'll redo my intro in Spanish. Hola, me llamo Bridget y tengo un problema. Mi problema es que me encantan los idiomas, me encantan, me fascinan, pero yo no hablo ningún idioma con fluidez aparte de mi idioma nativo, inglés. Yo sé que voy a cometer muchos errores. Tengo problemas con el acento también. Y por favor, corréjenme. Corregir is an IR verb. But do I use subjunctive? Por favor, corréjanme. Que me correjan. Yo elegí español para empezar porque mi mamá es de Cuba. Y por eso yo entiendo español. Bueno, yo entiendo un poco de español, pero yo no puedo decir mucho. Yo puedo decir estas cosas porque son frases básicos. Mañana yo voy a un lugar y yo voy a filmar. Me voy a filmar todo el día en español para enseñar, para mostrarlos a ustedes. See, do I need to say a ustedes? Like the redundant a ustedes? I'm just going to go off the deep end and imagine it needs all these bells and whistles. Yo los voy a mostrar a ustedes cómo es mi español, cómo es mi acento, cómo es mi vocabulario. Tengo grandes espacios vacíos en mi comprensión. También tengo problemas porque cuando hablo español a veces me vienen palabras en ruso porque yo estudiaba ruso. Yo estudiaba mucho el ruso y por eso a veces cuando no conozco una palabra en español me viene la palabra en ruso y yo quiero decirlo en ruso, pero me paro, ahora mismo estoy pensando, я думаю, no, y yo pienso, no, eso es una palabra ruso. And then y después estoy hablando tan lento porque estoy pensando mucho. ¿Qué es eso? ¿Es una palabra rusa o español? No sé. También ustedes van a ver que yo hablo con mis manos. See, this is a weird thing about Spanish. When you're talking about body parts, you need to say the rather than my. So you wouldn't say I talk with my hands. You'd say I talk with the hands, right? Como ustedes van a ver o ya han visto, yo hablo con las manos. No sé si esto es de Cuba, es algo cubano, no sé de dónde viene esto. No sé si solo es mi personalidad que yo hablo así, pero anyway, ¿cómo se dice anyway? Bueno, entonces, también el acento con que yo crecía, es cubano y por eso hay algunas palabras que nunca sabía cómo se escribe. Porque, por ejemplo, toda mi vida yo he escuchado entonces, no hay un S al final. Entonces yo siempre pensaba que la palabra es entonces, pero no, es entonces, hay un S. Probablemente ustedes van a ver que hay algunas palabras o frases en mi cabeza que son malinterpretaciones, interpretaciones malas. I just invented that word. Misunderstandings. If you've made it to the end of the video of my just non-stop rambling, thank you so much for sticking around. Please consider subscribing if you'd like to join me on this language learning journey where we're going to focus on Spanish, and then we'll see. And I hope to see you in my next video.